Hi guys, this is Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm making a simple card using the Peach Blossoms etched dies from the Garden Favorites collection by Susan Tierney over at Spellbinders. You probably saw yesterday's video using the Dogwood set, also in this same collection, and I'm including a sketch of the card on my blog, and that sketch can be used for this one as well. If you want more information about getting that sketch for free, check the description box down below for that information. First, I'm starting off by just coloring up the branch that all of my little peach blossoms are going to go on. This, I'm just using a green alcohol marker. You can save some time by just die cutting everything out of some colored cardstock, but I wasn't exactly sure what colors I wanted to use starting off, and I figured I've got my markers, I might as well use them, right? So I'm just using a couple of different markers because I believe, at least on this one, I wanted a little bit of a variation of tones. I'm using two different colors, kind of a green and a brown, to kind of make it look a little bit woodsy. In the Dogwood video, I mentioned the calyx, although I said it wrong a few times. Anyway, the peach blossom also has this part, so it's this little tiny star-shaped piece. And for each of those, I colored them up in green, and now I'm just cupping those to kind of give it a bowl type shape. I'm using a Sizzix, forgot what this pad is called, but I don't think it's available any longer anyway. But you basically just need something that is going to be a little bit cushiony so that you can push that ball stylus into the cardstock and create that cupped shape. This is something I think is just too cool, and I had never really thought about using anything like this until I started playing with these. Next, I'm going to start just putting everything down, or start putting the first couple of pieces down onto my cardstock. Now, you guys have probably seen that I don't really have a plan most of the time when I'm doing a card, so I just basically do it as I go. This is where I'm using the same design as the Dogwood card, and I've got that trellis piece from the Die of the Month from last December. It's part of a stitching die set, but there were so many layers. This is a perfect one to create that kind of a trellis look. So now I'm just going to glue down each of those little calyxes onto the ends of the branches so I have a place to place my flower once I get the flowers finished up. Next, I'm working on the blossoms. I'm going to use, I don't know, a couple of different kind of peachy colors. These are from the CR family. I believe this one is CR1, which is my lightest color. And I'm focusing the color right in the center. Actually, this was CR2. And then I'm going to come in with a little bit of a darker shade and, again, come in from that center to, I don't know, give a little bit of a look of some striations on those petals. Next, I'm going to start working on some of the stamens. Now, with this die set, there's actually two separate die cut pieces that are for the stamens. One looks like a little flower, and the other one looks like the regular stamen piece with the bar and the stamen sticking up from it. On this one, for the bottom of the center of the flowery looking piece, I'm coloring that in with some citrus yellow. That's the CT1 in my Spectrum Noirs. And then I need to trim those little stamen pieces just like we did in the Dogwood. Because of the way that dies cut, you couldn't really cut it too much thinner and have it work properly, so that's one reason they made them a little bit thicker. And what you do is you go in with your scissors and you just trim each of those little pieces in half, and that's going to give you a bunch of little stamens that are about the right size. Now after you're done with all of that, that would be the time that you'd be adding any kind of pollen or whatever to those. I don't have any of that, so I'm not using any. I'm just cutting those little bitty pieces off, and then we're going to work on putting it together. So on the other stamen piece, it's the same thing. I colored the base part in yellow, in that citrus yellow, and now I'm trimming each of those little stamens that are die cut in half so that they make two thinner ones. I'm taking my art glitter glue and running it right along the opposite side of the base away from the yellow, and then I'm going to just kind of curl that around, just roll it up so it creates this little, to me it looks kind of like a little bouquet of the stamens, but I'm doing that, and then I'm squeezing it together at the bottom. What's lucky for me is my art glitter glue dries so fast. You could basically use any kind of a liquid glue for this. It would work great for it. And then I'm pulling that off and going to fluff out all of those little stamens to try to give them a little bit more organic dimension. I figured that would look good. And next I'm going to cup one of those little flower pieces so that I can assemble all of the stamens together. Now doing this, of course, makes those little stamen pieces pop up a little bit more. I put a little bit of glue in the center and then just add that other stamen piece right into the center and then let it dry a little bit. We've got our stamens ready, so now let's get our peach blossom flower petals ready. I'm basically just using my ball stylus, this is a medium ball stylus, to break down some of those fibers from the outside to the inside of each of those petals to give them a little bit more of an organic shape and to make them a little bit softer, just like what we did over on the other video with our dogwood and with a lot of the other flowers that I've worked on so far. These are really cool to do, and you can't really go wrong because no petal is actually going to be exactly the same shape, and they're also not going to be too stiff. So you want to kind of get them a little bit softer so they'll move around and such. So I put my tweezers right in the center of that petal and kind of pinched it, and now I'm just rolling back the tips of each of those petals. You'll want to do this with all of your little petal pieces. Each blossom consists of one of the 3 petal pieces and one of the 2 petal pieces. So you'll want to shape all 5 of the pieces before you put your blossom together. And then, just like we do with all of our other blossoms and flowers, we need to cup each of those blossom pieces. Then we can glue the 2 together. Now, the way I understand it, because this is a 5 petal piece, we need to take the 2 piece, the one that has the 2 petals on there, and make sure that it is basically laying with it looking like a U. Then we place the other one on top with one of the petals up in the middle and glue that all together. Now this is a little bit finicky, so each time I'm doing it, it takes me a little bit to get a position just right, and I'm never 100% happy with it. But I am improving the more that I practice on this and the more of these cards that I make. Once all of those blossoms are assembled, we can go ahead and start putting them in the card. I'm adding a little bit of glue inside the cup of the calyx, and then adding the basically the cupped end of each of my flowers down, and that's all that's going to be holding these together. I love the way that this is coming together, but you could add as many blossoms as you want to your card. Now, with every kind of plant, every kind of flower, there are so many different variations because nothing is exact in nature. So you could have filled up this entire card with a bunch of those little blossoms and it would have just looked So, so, so pretty. Next, I'm going to start adding the leaves in and add just a little bit of greenery around each of those blossoms. To get all the little leaves ready, first I colored them with a green marker, or you could die cut them out of some green cardstock, and then I'm adding in each of the little veins. First there is that one vertical one down the center, and then I'm adding some little bits, little marks, little embossed marks coming down into it, and that just gives it a little bit more of a realistic look. You don't have to do it this way, but I find that it looks really pretty. I love it. Next, I'm going to basically fold it in half on that center crease line and take my ball stylus, my medium ball stylus, and kind of round the end so that it kind of, I don't know, just kind of flips a little bit the way that leaves tend to do. And this, just those couple of little steps there, makes all the difference in the world in making these look so, so realistic. I don't know about you, but I love the way that this little branch is turning out, and that little bit of green, those leaves, is just adding that perfect finishing touch for these little blossoms. Love it, love it. Anyway, if you'd like to see some more videos where I'm making some cards using some of these wonderful dimensional flowers, and I am learning every single time that I do these, but if you want to see some more of those videos, be sure to check out this playlist here. You guys have a wonderful day, and remember, if I can make it, you can too. Have a great day.